The edge of the world beneath the Ursa Major. This famous northern constellation served as a guide for the ancient Greeks, pointing the way to the north. The Arctic is both a harsh and an astonishing place that has long captured the human imagination of sailors, poets, travelers, and scientists. To this day, it remains alluring and still not fully explored. In recent years, we have witnessed the Arctic becoming increasingly integrated into the global economy, thanks to its resource potential and the development of new international transport corridors. Today, we will explore this remarkable region and learn about the contribution that the State Atomic Energy Corporation Rosatom is making to its development. Before I begin, I would like you to take a mindful moment and think, what associations does the word Arctic bring to your mind? What do you see? Most likely, polar bears, ice, snow, and cold have just appeared before your eyes. Am I right? The Arctic is indeed very often imagined as an icy desert, but in reality, the Arctic is a vast, economically strong region with a population of around 4 million people. Its territory includes the fringes of North America and Eurasia, the Arctic Ocean with its islands, and the adjacent parts of the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. The total area of the Arctic is more than 20 million square kilometers. The Russian part of the Arctic region accounts for nearly a third of the entire Arctic shelf, stretching from Franz Josef Land to Wrangel Island. You have likely heard about the harsh climate of the Arctic, and it's not a surprise. Winter temperatures here drop to minus 50 degrees Celsius, while summers are short and cool. The Arctic experiences polar days and nights, the northern lights, and is home to remarkable plants and animals found nowhere else on Earth. Musk oxen, bighorn sheep, polar bears, killer whales, and beluga whales. Furthermore, the Arctic shapes the climate of the entire planet, acting as a natural air conditioner and preventing the continents from overheating. Thanks to the diversity of minerals found beneath the soil of the Arctic, the region is often called the world's freezer. The Arctic landscape is filled with rich deposits of natural resources, many of which are critical for the transition to renewable energy, ensuring a clean future for the planet and generations to come. These include, for example, lithium, nickel, cobalt, manganese, and graphite, essential for energy storage systems, metallurgical silicon for microchips, and rare earth metals for electric vehicles and wind turbines. In addition, the Arctic holds lots of other valuable resources, from construction materials such as sand, gravel, and crushed stone to precious stones such as diamonds and rubies. It is fair to say that today, not only global economic development, but also the planet's energy security would be unimaginable without the Arctic valuable resources. For Russia, the Arctic zone makes up nearly 1/3 of its territory. To be precise, 28%. The geography itself, including the country's unique territorial expanse, has historically pushed Russia northward, overcoming natural challenges. So how did people learn about the existence of the Arctic? As early as the 11th century, the Pomors, one of the oldest ethnic communities in northern Europe, living on the northwestern shores of Russia, were exploring the northern seas, hunting, and establishing the first trade routes. In the 18th century, the Great Northern Expedition, led by Vitus Bering and Semyon Cheluskin, created a map of the Arctic coast of Russia for the first time. In the 20th century, the USSR made a breakthrough, building the world's first nuclear-powered icebreaker, completing through voyages along the Northern Sea Route and launching drifting stations such as North Pole 1. Today, Russia continues to study the Arctic using satellites, underwater drones, and new scientific stations, helping to unlock the region's socio-economic potential. From the Pomors to high technology, the Arctic remains a territory of discovery. What is the NSR and why is it important? The Northern Sea Route runs along the coastline of Russia through the seas of the Arctic Ocean. It is one of the most discussed projects in the context of global logistics. It is the shortest sea route between Europe and Asia, with a length of about 5,600 kilometers. The history of Russian exploration of the Northern Sea Route spans more than 500 years and begins with the earliest voyages of the Pomors through these waters, as mentioned earlier. Building on their experience, in 1525, the Russian diplomat Dmitry Gerasimov proposed the practical use of this route and created the first project of the Northern Sea Route, as well as the first map of the coasts of the Arctic Ocean and Muscovy. Muscovy being the political and geographical name for the Russian state used from the 15th to the early 18th century. What are the advantages of the Northern Sea Route? The NSR has numerous advantages. In particular, it is the shortest sea route between Europe and Asia. By significantly reducing the distance between Asia to Europe, the NSR helps carriers optimize cargo transportation costs while allowing us to receive goods as quickly as possible. The NSR runs only within Russian borders, which ensures complete stability and predictability of cargo flows. This route has global significance, reducing congestion in the world's logistics system. The NSR also helps relieve currently overcrowded transport channels, avoiding queues and accidents. When passing through the Northern Sea Route, there is also no risk of piracy, making the NSR a safe and efficient addition to existing shipping routes. Furthermore, the reduced distance offered by the Arctic route contributes to lower CO2 emissions. It also stimulates the development of Russia's northern regions, creates new jobs, and promotes the adoption of green technologies in shipping. The Northern Sea Route is the transport artery of the future, connecting the economies of Europe and Asia through the Russian Arctic. For most of the year, the seas of the Arctic Ocean are covered with ice. But how is navigation through ice even possible? The answer? Nuclear icebreaker fleet. Russia is the only country in the world to possess a nuclear icebreaker fleet. The fleet is operated by Rosatom. Rosatom issues permits for passage along the NSR, helps chart safe routes through the ice, and escorts vessels during navigation. The primary purpose of nuclear icebreakers is to ensure the escort of ships along the Northern Sea Route. Thanks to their powerful reactors, the latest project 2220-0 nuclear icebreakers can break through ice up to 3 meters thick. The use of a nuclear reactor allows icebreakers to operate for up to 7 years without refueling. And most importantly, nuclear icebreakers provide virtually no carbon dioxide emissions, making them environmentally safe. In addition to cargo transportation, Russian nuclear icebreakers take part in expeditions, are sometimes involved in rescue operations, and even carry tourists. A nuclear icebreaker possesses several features that enable it to force its way through the Arctic ice and guide vessels behind it. An ultra-strong hull design, great weight, and powerful reactors. Nuclear icebreakers advance through the ice by essentially leaning their bow onto the ice surface. The ice barrier breaks under the icebreaker's weight, and the ice fragments scatter to the sides, creating a channel for the passage of both the nuclear-powered vessel and the ship it is escorting. The icebreaker's hull is extremely strong and is made of steel capable of withstanding low temperatures. In addition to a powerful hull, nuclear icebreakers are equipped with nuclear reactors. To put it simply, its working principle can be described as follows. The nuclear reactor produces steam. The steam drives turbines connected to generators that produce electricity. The electricity, in turn, drives the propellers. It is important to note that the operation of a nuclear icebreaker does not cause atmospheric heating or heating of seawater. The energy of a nuclear icebreaker is directly solely at breaking the ice. As of today, the nuclear icebreaker fleet consists of 8 nuclear icebreakers, with another 4 at various stages of construction. As I have already mentioned, nuclear icebreakers have 3 main advantages: efficiency, safety, and autonomy. The crew of the most modern Project 2220-0 nuclear icebreaker is about 50 people. To ensure the crew's comfort during voyages, the newest icebreakers even have a swimming pool, a gym, and a cinema. They are truly floating mini-cities. Now, I invite you to look at the journey that our icebreakers have made and draw inspiration from their path. We will look at 3 projects that symbolize past, present, and future. December 3rd, 1959 is considered the birth date of the nuclear icebreaker fleet. On that day, the flag was raised on the world's first nuclear-powered icebreaker, Lenin. This event gave rise to the nuclear icebreaker fleet development and unlocked the transportation potential of the Northern Sea Route. The 8 nuclear icebreakers in Russia's fleet have incorporated and multiplied all the advantages of the world's first nuclear icebreaker. The icebreaker Lenin had a power output of 44,000 horsepower, significantly higher than its predecessors, the diesel-powered icebreakers. I would like to ask you to remember this number because we will need it later. At the same time, Lenin's fuel consumption was very low. While a vessel powered by diesel fuel had only enough supplies for a month, the nuclear-powered Lenin could operate on average up to 4 years without refueling. Lenin operated for 30 years and escorted 3,741 vessels. Today, you can see the founder of the nuclear icebreaker fleet at the seaport of Murmansk, where it serves as a museum. Now, I would like to move to the present and introduce you to the newest and most powerful icebreakers of 2220-0 project. They already have a power output over 81,000 horsepower. Do you remember the number I asked you to recall from the previous slide? The icebreaker Landon had about 40,000 horsepower, so modern icebreakers are already twice as powerful. In addition to being able to break through ice up to 3 meters thick and create a channel through ice up to 4 meters wide, these icebreakers are universal. The use of variable draft allows icebreakers of this design to operate equally, effectively both in open seas and in shallow waters at the mouths of polar rivers. Finally, we move to the project that represents the future of Arctic development, Project Rossiya, which will have a power output over 160,000 horsepower, twice that of the most powerful modern icebreaker. It will be capable of breaking through ice up to 4 meters thick and creating channel through ice 50 meters wide. The Rossiya-class nuclear icebreaker is the flagship of the future Arctic fleet, representing a true technological breakthrough in the exploration of the Arctic. Let us summarize. First, the Arctic is one of the most interesting and promising regions on Earth for exploration. It is where technologies and innovations that shape the future of the entire world are born. Second, the Northern Sea Route, the shortest transport route connecting Europe and Asia, running through the seas of the Arctic Ocean, is confidently becoming part of global logistics. Third, safe and efficient navigation in northern seas is made possible by nuclear icebreakers, and Russia possesses unique technologies and experience in operating in the far north. If you, like me, can't wait to experience the Arctic beauty we have talked so much about, I invite you to join me in watching a short video at the conclusion of our excursion.
Dear friends, welcome to the world of nuclear technologies and scientific breakthroughs. My name is Uliana Melnikova. I am responsible for international business development at Rosatom International Network. Today, I will tell you about Rosatom's international projects and innovative solutions, which Rosatom offers to international partners. Last year, the Russian nuclear industry celebrated its 80th anniversary. During this time, we have gained unique experience in solving complex technological tasks, since the construction of a nuclear power plant requires knowledge from many different fields. Rosatom is the only company in the world with expertise in the entire nuclear fuel cycle. Based on this experience, Rosatom is going beyond the traditional nuclear power industry and develops advanced technologies such as wind energy, additive technologies, composite materials, infrastructure, and digital solutions. These developments form a comprehensive portfolio of future technologies. We'll talk about them today, and you will see the impact Rosatom's technologies have on the modern world. One of the main questions humanity is facing right now is how to provide people with energy. The demand for electricity is growing every day due to the rapid growth of the population, the use of electronic devices, and the expansion of production. Recently, the world's population has exceeded 8 billion people, and almost 10% of them do not have access to the electricity. Millions of people face regular shortage of electricity in developing regions. Because of this, people are forced to adjust to the electricity availability and limit production capacities. Worldwide demand for electricity is going by 4% a year. It is expected that in 2050 it will double, and many experts call the coming decade as Decade of Electricity. Data centers already consume a significant amount of energy, and with the development of artificial intelligence, demand will only grow. This requires reliable, predictable, and clean energy, and nuclear generation is the optimal solution. Since there is a huge shortage of electricity in the world, humanity has a lot of work to do to reduce it. Of course, it is important to cover the shortage with green sources of energy. Among all energy sources, only 4 of them are considered as green: wind, water, sun, and atom. Rosatom is working in each of these areas. 3 of them are quite clear and familiar. Wind power allows energy to be generated on wind farms, solar energy is stored using solar panels, and the movement of water allows energy to be generated at hydroelectric power plants. There remains the 4th source of energy, the atom. And nuclear energy is a key area of Rosatom's business. Rosatom is a global technology leader. We promote our technologies across various industries all over the world. Rosatom ensures reliable and eco-friendly electricity supply to the Russian Federation and shares this experience with international partners. As of today, we are constructing 41 nuclear power units in 11 countries. We keep moving forward and constantly develop our competencies not only in the field of NPP's construction, but we also develop new technologies and solutions. Rosatom operates across 120 business areas and is presented in more than 60 countries. All these results are achieved by a huge team of professionals, over 420,000 people from 580 enterprises in Russia and abroad. Rosatom's solutions can be divided into 4 main areas: nuclear and non-nuclear energy projects, and nuclear and non-nuclear non-energy projects. To make it simple, Rosatom's solutions solve 4 key tasks: using low-carbon energy sources and shaping the ecological well-being of the planet, development of advanced technologies to preserve lives and health of millions of people around the world, development of innovative solutions that contribute to the development of science and industries, providing comprehensive logistics services that create new opportunities for global trade growth. It is important to note that this is not just a number of projects. It is a coordinated work that meets the key trends of our time. It is our investment in a safe and green future. Rosatom is absolute leader in global export of nuclear power plants and ranks first in uranium enrichment, second in uranium reserves, and third in uranium mining and fuel fabrication. Currently, 25 projects for the construction of large-scale nuclear power plants are being implemented worldwide, 22 of which are led by Rosatom in our partner countries: Turkey, Egypt, India, Hungary, Uzbekistan, Bangladesh, China, and others. Nuclear power plants might be of different capacities, large and small scale. These terms refer to different types of reactors and are intended for different tasks. In large NPPs, the capacity of one unit reaches up to 1,600 megawatts, and such stations are the basic elements in large power grids. There are also small-scale nuclear power plants up to 300 megawatts. This is an advanced technology. As they are initially designed as ready-made blocks, they can be assembled at the factory, transported ready-made, and quickly mounted on site. Russia also has a unique and the only floating nuclear power unit in the world, the academic Lomonosov NPP. For almost 6 years, the plant has been operating in the city of Pevek, which is the city in the north of Russia. During this time, the station has generated more than 1 billion kilowatt-hours of energy and significantly reduced emissions of harmful gases. It is no coincidence that Pevek has become one of the leaders in terms of quality of life in Russia. As we already mentioned, Rosatom is not only about nuclear power plants. Rosatom also develops innovative solutions in healthcare. It provides solutions for the diagnosis and treatment of serious diseases, manufactures medical equipment, builds medical centers, and conducts scientific research in the field of biotechnology. One of the key Rosatom's business area is nuclear medicine. Based on many years of experience, Rosatom becomes the leader in isotopes production and develops innovative radiopharmaceuticals. They are used in 50 million medical procedures annually, and over 2.5 million patients worldwide receive timely diagnosis and treatment with Rosatom's products. Rosatom is also engaged in the development of navigation along the Northern Sea route in the Arctic. The Northern Sea route runs through the seas of the Arctic Ocean along the coast of Russia and is notable for reducing the distance between Asian and European ports compared to other routes. You probably wonder why Rosatom is doing this. Most of the time, the Arctic Sea is covered with ice, and powerful nuclear icebreakers are needed for safe navigation there. Russia has the world's only nuclear icebreaking fleet operated by Rosatom. Unlike usual diesel icebreakers, nuclear icebreakers are more powerful and safer for the environment and allow transport vessels to break through the ice. Rosatom performs its annual Icebreaker of Knowledge expedition on such a powerful nuclear icebreaker, and I wish each of you an incredible experience of traveling on it. To understand Rosatom better, let's take a look at our values and corporate culture. The work of each employee at Rosatom is based on 6 values: being one step ahead, responsibility for the results, safety, efficiency, respect, and teamwork. These values drive our global success, and at the core of it all are people. We like to say, everything starts with an atom, and Rosatom starts with people. Thank you for your attention. I'm sure that you have learned a lot about Rosatom and nuclear energy. I wish you an unforgettable experience on the Icebreaker of Knowledge expedition.
Hi everyone, my name is Alexander Kokorin. I am leading the Hydrobiology Lab at Moscow State University's Marine Research Center. Today we're going to talk about Arctic. When you hear that word, you probably think of a huge white desert, lots of snow, ice and freezing cold. Well, that's not the whole story. Today we're going to change your mind. Take a look at this map. What do you see? The Arctic is a giant bridge between countries. It has the shortest shipping routes, new technologies, and lots of scientists working together. The Arctic is a huge home, bigger than 20 million square kilometers. More than 4 million people live here, and guess what? They speak almost 90 different languages. Just think about all those different cultures. This place is shared by 8 countries: Russia, USA, Canada, Iceland, Norway, Sweden, Denmark via Greenland, and Finland. Even though it's super cold here, like minus 50 degrees in winter, people are creating amazing new ideas and a better, more responsible future for the whole planet. Okay, so now we know the Arctic is not an empty ice desert. It's alive, important, and really interesting. Check out these numbers. They might surprise you. Under all that ice, there is 13% of the world's oil and 30% of its gas that we haven't even found yet. Why do I say haven't found yet? Because we know it's down there, but getting to it is hard, costs a ton of money, and can be dangerous. The Arctic is like a huge treasure box with 1,000 locks. Also, there are rare earth metals here. You need those for your smartphones and electric cars. And there is something worth even more vital than oil: fresh water. One day, clean water might be more precious than gold. The Arctic is like a giant water tank for the planet. Life here is tough, but awesome. You won't find tall trees. Summer is just too short and cold for them to grow. But you will find ice lovers. Scientists call them pagophiles. We're talking seals, walruses, and the king of the north, the polar bear. They need ice to live, find food, and raise their children. Look at the food chain picture. It shows how everything is connected. It starts with tiny plants living right inside the ice. Little sea bugs eat them. Fish eat the bugs. Seals eat the fish. And polar bears eat the seals. What happens if the ice melts and goes away? The whole chain will break. And here is the most important fact about the Arctic. It's the planet's kitchen of weather. You know how our air conditioner cools a hot room? The Arctic cools the whole Earth. The white ice reflects sunlight back into the space. If the ice melts, it turns into dark water. Dark water absorbs heat. Then the whole planet warms up faster. Even if you live in a hot desert or a tropical island, the Arctic decides if you get huge storms, floods, or no rain at all. That's why the Arctic isn't just far away. It controls the weather for everyone. And that's why we have to take care of it. The Arctic is unique. You really have to be gentle with it. If you cut down a tree in a regular forest, a new one will grow in maybe 20 years. But if you drive a heavy truck over the tundra just once, the truck can stay there for 50 or even 100 years. Nature here heals like in a super slow motion. That's why we need 4 strong foundations to stand on if we want to keep the Arctic safe. First one, strict government rules and careful watching. We call it monitoring. Second is business that spends money on the best, cleanest technology. Third is science. Scientists figure out how the Arctic actually works. They check the frozen ground, count the polar bears, and figure out how to fix damaged land. Without science, businesses are just guessing. Fourth, and that's super important, countries working together. The Arctic doesn't have borders in the same way. We talk to each other. We have the Arctic Council. They focus on 4 big things: protecting nature, rescuing people in trouble, helping the native people who live there, and making sure development is smart. If we balance all those things, we can have an economy and nature living together peacefully. So 8 countries are situated in the Arctic. How do they even talk to each other? That's why they made the Arctic Council back in 1996. Look at the picture. Those 8 countries are members, but check out their observer countries: China, Germany, India, Japan, France. Why are they there? They don't even touch the Arctic Ocean. But remember what we said? The Arctic affects the whole world's weather. They want to know what's up. Nobody is ahead of this council forever. They take turns being in charge. They make the rules together, how ships should sail, how to catch fish safely, and so on. They also share really important information about permafrost, the ground that is frozen all year long. If the ground starts changing here in Russia, scientists in Canada and Norway see that data too. They all work together to figure out why. And they do huge science projects. Do you remember the Mosaic mission? A German ship called Polarstern purposely got stuck in the ice and floated around for a whole year. Scientists from 20 countries lived on that ship in the dark and cold, just to do science for all of us. The Arctic is where we choose to work together instead of fighting. We talked about gas, oil, and ships. But if we dig up everything and build roads everywhere, what happens to the polar bears and walruses? Where do they go? That's why we have protected areas. Look at the map with the parks and reserves. These are safe zones for nature. See that photo? That's Franz Josef Land, part of the Russian Arctic National Park. Is it beautiful, right? These parks are like nature museums. No drilling, no building. It stays wild like it was 1,000 years ago. Scientists love these places because they can see how nature works without people messing it up. We need these spots to save rare animals. Polar bears, walruses, the Siberian crane, a beautiful white bird that's super rare, and the narwhal, the unicorn of the sea with that crazy long tooth. Oh, and the Arctic tern. This tiny bird is the world's travel champion. It flies from the North Pole to the South Pole and back again every year. It can see 2 summers every year. How amazing is that? These protected areas are like a giant outdoor science lab. We study ice, temperature, and birds who live there. This is how we know the climate is changing. If we harm the nature, the Arctic stops being the Arctic, and the planet's air conditioner breaks. Okay, we keep saying be responsible, but is it actually possible? Does being green just get in the way of making money and doing stuff? Actually, companies in Russia are showing how it can work. Being eco-friendly is a must-do in the Arctic. For example, take Rosatom's nuclear icebreakers. These massive ships break the ice so other ships can follow. This is a great example of the smart tech. They don't need fossil fuel, they don't need huge roads or ports all over the tundra. They just clear a path, ships follow, and the land stays mostly untouched. Companies are using new tech to build things without trashing the place. They also have to report exactly how much pollution did they make. And businesses often give money to protect natural reserves. They know it looks good and it's the right thing to do. They helping with payments for scientists to count polar bears and protect those rare birds we talked about. They also do land recultivation. That's a scientific way of saying cleaning up your mess. If they use a piece of land, they try to fix it before they leave. It's really hard in the cold, but they do it. And my favorite part, science and education. The photos on the slide are from the Icebreaker of Knowledge trip. Rosatom actually picks smart kids from all over the world and takes them on a nuclear icebreaker to the North Pole. You're listening to this talk right now. Maybe this year you will be on that ship. We talked a lot about rules and cool tech, but how do we actually know if things are clean or dirty? We control and study it. We call it environmental monitoring. It's like giving the Arctic a constant health checkup. Without this, we're blind. Look at the map which shows the Northern Sea Route, the big shipping highway in the ice. Rosatom manages it. Do you see those colored stars? Those are spots where they take samples on a regular basis. They check the air, the water, the ice, the mud at the bottom, the fish, and even the tiny floating sea life plankton. International experts make sure we are doing the tests right. They check the health of the little creatures on the seafloor, benthos. If those little guys are sick, the whole ocean is probably sick. And most importantly, all these tests are done in the exact same way year after year. We can see how things are changing. We know if it's just natural change or if something is wrong. And it's not just government and big companies. Real people power the Arctic too. Enthusiasts and volunteers from all over the world. Check out, for example, the Bear Patrol. Imagine living in a small Arctic town and a polar bear walks down the street. That's no joke. That's real danger. These projects teach people how to stay safe and keep the bears safe too. Arctic Ocean is an international film festival. They show amazing movies about the North. Arctic Winter Games. Think Olympics, but colder. They have regular sports, but also things like sled jumping and dog sled racing. Do you want to test your Arctic knowledge? Take the Arctic Dictation online. Everyone can join. The North Pole, the Arctic, isn't some faraway area on a map anymore that's impossible to reach. It's alive. People work here, make movies, play sports, and celebrate their holidays. The Arctic is breathing and growing because we all pitch in. And guess what? You can go there. You can volunteer, get a job, study, or just visit. Maybe some of you listening right now will end up becoming a part of this amazing world. Thank you for listening, and see you at the North Pole.